What up, headphone nerds? It's Jason here from Custom Cans, and today I'm going to be going through our V3 tuning mod for the DT770, which gives it a more sophisticated audiophile type sound. So essentially you go from this, the stock tuning, to this, where we've flattened out a lot of the dips and it's got it sounding real nice. So if you fancy seeing how this is fitted and looking at some frequency plots and stuff, come with me. Let's go. As you may or may not be aware, for a number of years we've been making the Uber DT770s, which we've rewired internally with lit wire, give them a detachable cable and made them balanced so you can run them off a balanced amp, that kind of thing. They've also been retuned a little bit with a little bit more bump in the badunkadunk. The standard DT770s, a very good studio headphone, and as standard, as you can see, they've got quite a big peak in the treble, and on the V2 Uber ones, as you can see, we basically give the bass a bit of a bump and do various things. Like the bass is more accurate, but you also get a boost in the bass and sub bass with the V2, which gives it more of a kind of V-tune shape. So you got a bit more bass to bring it up to the same level as the treble. Gives it a more fun V-tuned kind of sound. Yeah, they've been really popular. We've got a lot of good reviews for those. And I thought after playing with them again, obviously I've learned a lot more since we originally developed this kit, because this has basically been the same for probably maybe 10 years. We've been doing something like this. The V2 is slightly different because we moved from lead to copper, that kind of thing, but it was generally a similar kind of tune that we were going for. So I've gone for a new tune to give another option on there, and it will be possible to upgrade. If you have the V2, we'll be selling a little thing that you can poke in to upgrade it to the V3. So if you've already got these, there'll be a kit that you can buy that just adds the extra tweaks that we've done in these ones. So with the V3, we've gone a bit sophisticated. So basically I've, as you can see with the standard ones, there's quite a lot of lumps and dips, and kind of just smoothed those off. So we've smoothed off a lot of the dips in the mids and the mid bass with these. We've also, again, given it a little bit more in the sub bass, but haven't gone quite as extreme as on the V2. So a little bit less bass than the V2, a bit more than the original one, but with a much more smoothed off mid-range. So this gives a flatter response. Really pleased with the sound of these. Like the mids just feel a bit more filled out, so you can pick out those individual instruments a little bit better. The little bit bump in the sub bass helps with like the kick drum and stuff to kind of pierce through a little bit. Yeah, overall very pleased. Now what I've done, what a lot of people have asked me to start doing, is doing one of those stupid little sound demos on the mini ears. It's difficult because obviously when you're listening through headphones or speakers, it's not going to sound the same as it will through these. But it gives you an idea of the comparison between all of them. So let's have a quick listen. Oh, let me just interrupt you there. Obviously it'd be great if you could just press a little thumbs up button down there just to give us a like. It always cheers us up. And if you're not already subscribed, hit subscribe, because we've got some more cool stuff coming up later this month, hopefully, in a couple of videos. And I was thinking, while we're at it, as we're just launching the new V3 kit, we should probably give a few of these away. So I'm going to say 5 kits we're going to give away. So if you have a set of DT770s and you want one of these kits for free, can you just stick a comment in the thing below, and we will pick our 5 favourites out of the hat. The criteria will be something that will impress my 6-year-old son. So I'm looking for like incredible facts that will wow a 6-year-old, or maybe an hilarious joke, knock joke, something simple, and then I can look like Father of the Year. You guys can get a free thing. Everyone's a winner, baby. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the comments, and back to the What's It.
You were just another sideshow in a backstreet carnival. I was walking the high wire, trying not to fall. Just another way of getting through, anyone would do, but it was you. And you were just another sideshow, and I was trying not to fall.
today you get a feel for how the sound has changed slightly. So the original ones, they sound really nice, and obviously everyone's very, very happy with them, but they sound a little bit thin, just because there's more peaks in certain places. So let's take a look and see how you would fit this kit. Okay, so if you have a T6 screwdriver, it's going to make this a little bit easier because we can undo the hinges and remove the ear cups. If you haven't got a T6 screwdriver, you can just bend them like that, give yourself access to the ear cup. But if this springs up, it's gonna get in your way. So it is easier to remove the ear cups if you've got a T6 screwdriver. If you have, you only really need to remove one screw from each side. So remove the T6 from there, pull the yoke out of the hinge piece, remove that, and the other side should just kind of come off. So let's just do that the other side. Okay, pokey. So now we've got those. Which one should we do this one first? Okay. This one's a bit harder, one with extra cables. So remove the ear pad, you see that, you just get your finger under there, pull it off, that'll come off easily enough. Then we need to remove this part, which is the retaining ring here, and that's just clipped in 4 places. And a pair of scissors is alright at doing this, or a flat blade like a kitchen knife. You want something with a relatively broad, flat end. With scissors you just splay them slightly like that to give them a bit of separation. Get them under there, and then a bit of a twist, and then pop up. I wouldn't recommend using anything too sharp like a flathead screwdriver because you might damage the tissue paper that's under here. So if you do something like that, make sure you get it right up the edge where you've got plastic again here. Yeah, you just don't want to press anything through this tissue paper if you can avoid it. It's not a disaster if you do, you can just cover it with masking tape or something like that, but it's best not to. As remove the driver, just like that, give it a bit of a tapper, that'll all come apart. The new ones kind of come apart a lot easier than the old ones. They're not quite as stiff as they used to be. So this one just kind of fell out, but if you've got one of the old ones, you might need to give it a good kind of tapper on there. So what's going to be the easiest way of tackling this? Right, so this part here, which you've got on one side, you notice it's got a cutout there, and that goes at the bottom where all the cables are, and you want to have that cutout facing up so that when we put the driver in, it's got room for the cables. We'll put that in first. Then you've got your 2 bits of foam, and you'll notice that so with this bit of foam, you've got a hole in the center there. You can bung that up like that. With the hole out, you're going to get better sound staging. Generally, I think it sounds a little bit better. If you put the thing in, you'll get slightly more sub bass, but it'll sound a little bit more closed. You won't get quite the width of soundstage that you get with that removed. You'll notice that it is not symmetrical, and you want this pointy end of the lobe facing forwards, and these little 4 Watsits, they will clip into the hooks of these. So yeah, so you want to arrange it so when it's back together, this bit, the cutouts at the bottom, this bit's facing towards the front of your ear. So I just put that in there. So if you arrange those so they go in between the little stays, if I just show you that on there, you see that's all held in nicely, and that'll keep it in place and stop it from moving around. So that goes in meow. So the foam should be right at the bottom. Next, we'll take this bit that looks a bit like Lisa Simpson's hair, or maybe Rick Sanchez. I don't know. But essentially, again, it'll end up being a circle with a cutout at the bottom where your cables go. So start just near the cutout on there and start tucking it in around the edge there. Just move that out of the way so you can see. Sorry, my hand's in the way, but yeah, you can see how I'm tucking it in around the edge so that it is below the line here where your driver's going to sit. Now then, you might get cables in the way and stuff. You'll just have to do a little bit of, so I'm just going to move those down out of the way. Oh yeah, you might have some weird little triangular pieces here that are just like the leftovers from the cuts. Make sure you remove all those. Just try and even it up all the way around. There you go. So that is in there. You can see, so this is at a high level, that's at a lower level. Two different levels there. And then we need to add the weight to the back of the driver. So here we've got a copper ring, and these have got a sticky backed plastic attached to them. So just remove the protective film off there, and these are designed to be pretty tight on there, so you might need to pull this and widen that gap at the top there. You should just be able to kind of get it off, get it on, and then feed it over, and that will stick it on with the double-sided tape, but also because it's quite tight on there, it'll clamp on, because we don't want that moving around. And you want to get that roughly level all the way around with the top of the thing, so it's probably handy to have a screwdriver or some other tool just to kind of level it all up all the way around. And that just adds a little bit of weight on the back of the driver for it to push against, which helps make the bass more accurate, so less boomy, more detail, crispness in the bass. These absorb various frequencies and help the air flow around in the right places. Once you've got those on, you should be able to put them all back together. Just make sure you don't trap the wires underneath the driver when it goes back in. So you'll notice there's a key at the top there, and there's a little indent in the top. You've got to get those lined up nicely. And then when you've got it in, just make sure it's not rocking backwards and forwards too much or anything like that, because that might mean that you've got a cable stuck under it. There's going to be a little bit of resistance because we've got the foam in there pressing up against it a little bit. But yeah, it shouldn't. Just want to make sure there's no wires trapped under here, so it's not raised up here, otherwise you won't be able to get the other bits back in. Then on goes your foam disc, still holding it, just keep holding it down so it doesn't jump up. And then again, this has got a key. Can you see that? Whoop. Yeah, it's got a key there which lines up with the little hole on there. Pop that in and click, click, click. If it doesn't click in, you've done something wrong. You've got something trapped somewhere. So that's the only thing to look out for. And with these newer ones, they've got this cutout here, which makes putting the pads on much easier. So if I can put that up against a white background so you can see it. Yeah, so on these new ones, you've got that cutout there. What you want to do is get your pad up against on the flat part, hooked over, and then you just twist. And the pad's on. Woo! On the old ones, you used to have to kind of, if you've got an old pair of DT770s without that cutout, there's going to be a bit of faffing around. I'm sure there's videos on how to put pads on, but essentially you've got to, if I just do that again, just without using the thing, what I would recommend doing is hook over one side, hold that with your thumb, and then hook on some more, and then kind of work your way around, holding it in place as much as you can with your other fingers and thumbs, while you hook on more as you go around like that. I've made that look relatively easy, but I suspect you'll find it hard if you haven't done it 1,000 times. So then we just go back on. Now these are left and right, so you'll find that only one of these will fit correctly. Pop that in, pop your screw back in. So the only real thing to look out for is when you're fitting this bit of foam here, just make sure the lobe, extended lobe, is facing the front, where the front of your face would be. So if your nose was over here, it'd be facing towards that as you insert it. That is the correct way around. You want to get it the same on both sides. You can see you've got the 4 cardinal directions here, so this one will be at the bottom, top, left, right. Just make sure it's straight and it's the same on both sides, otherwise it might sound a little bit off. So there you go. It's pretty straightforward to fit, as you can see, and it's all totally reversible, so if you pop it in and you want to try taking it back out again, it's not a problem. These things they're quite happy to be pulled apart lots of times, so you can pop it in, pop it out, have a listen backwards and forwards. But personally, I'd say I think this is good. It's a nice balanced sound. We've still left the peak in there because that's what kind of gives them that magic, but because we've leveled everything out, it's not quite as noticeable. Like the mids are brought up a little bit more, and you've got the sub bass up a little bit more, so the peak isn't quite as noticeable in the treble. So yeah, so we'll have this kit available on our shop, as well as the original V2 kit, which gives a bit more bump in the badonkadonk. So yeah, we'll be running them side by side. So if you order a set of Ubers with all the balanced cabling and stuff now, you'll now have the option of going for the V3 kit, which would give a flatter response and slightly better sound staging, so for more for your audiophile use. Or if you're a dirty bass head, I'll probably stick with the V2 kit because it does give you more of a bump in the bass, and it's got more of that kind of fun V-tune kind of sound. So it's more of a fun sound. The V3 is more of an audiophile sound. So I hope you enjoyed that, and stick a comment in the thing. Let me know what you think of what we're doing here, and the kits and everything will be available on the website. I'll stick links in the description, and that's it. Anyway, it's been, as always, it's been super awesome hanging out with you guys, and I'll see you guys again.